I just got back from Dubai, and it's easily one of the most photogenic and futuristic cities in the world, one of the most unique places to bring a camera, and regrettably, I took too much gear with me, from my phone, drone, GoPro, 2 full-frame Sonys, and 4 lenses. And yet, in this video, I'll be focusing mostly on one camera, and will take you along with me for some POV street photography / videography to show you both the beauty of Dubai and the capabilities of the Sony a7C II, along with some mistakes I'm kicking myself for making. So first and foremost, like I said, I was trying to both pack everything I could and pack as light as possible with multiple compact setups because I was traveling with my family and friends and a 4-year-old, and I was in Dubai for a wedding and not specifically for shooting. So I didn't always have the day planned in advance to have the right stuff with me. So I imagine if I could do it again, or if you're planning on traveling soon, I can help you make better choices than I did. For example, we had an impromptu trip up the top of the Burj Khalifa, which, if you don't know, is the tallest building in the world and maybe the central sight to see here in Dubai. And my son wanted to go up to the top, but I definitely didn't have the right lens with me, nor, most importantly, a circular polarizer to cut the reflections off the glass. So actually, my phone probably captured better photos and videos than my a7C II in this case. And this was my second time up the Burj. I took this tour back in 2015, where I only had my phone at the time, so I didn't even think about the reflections on the glass, but I still should have had a better zoom on me, like a 20-70. Or I saw some guy with a telephoto lens on this tour, but I'm not sure that's the right choice either. I think having a range is the way to go. But I was still able to come away with a few good shots, and thanks to clear image zoom, I did get some decent zooms from my a7C II, yet not as good as this one from my phone. Then I met this really nice gentleman that I wanted to take a picture of as much as he wanted me to snap one of him, but then I got frustrated that I didn't have a good portrait lens on me. So either way, you're going to have to deal with limitations and be able to adjust your settings on the fly to try to get the best shot that you can, which I don't think I always got, but I will briefly describe my process anyway. Now, I have several of these POV videos coming up, including one where I'll just use my smartphone, my Google Pixel 8 Pro, also here in Dubai, and I will continue to briefly compare some pics between my phone and the a7C II. And then I will also be taking you with me from this futuristic Middle Eastern cityscape to a tropical African island beach walk in the Indian Ocean for my next POV series in Mauritius. But for now, let's get back to Dubai.
Okay, I'm in Dubai. I've got my Sony a7C II, and I'm gonna do some POV with my GoPro. I lost my voice because of a wedding last night. I'm sitting in my hotel trying to recover from a hangover, but it's time to shoot some pictures. All right, bye.
So again, one of the main features here is the Dubai Mall, which is just that, a mall, but a massive indoor-outdoor complex at the foot of the Burj Khalifa. So it's a good place to start, and although I got some really nice architectural shots, my main issue was that I wish I had an ultra-wide lens on me, something like the Sigma 14mm f1.4, which I recently rented, but it's massive and expensive, so likely not a good travel lens, but even my Sony 10-18mm would have been able to get the job done here if I brought it. So before you rip me up in the comments, I was traveling for a month across 2 continents with a lot of gear and a kid, so weight was important. So I will list the lenses that I brought, but let's just say for now, the 4 lenses were almost adequate, but far less than ideal. So thankfully, in a pinch, my phone has this amazing ultra-wide lens, which allowed me to get these shots that I couldn't exactly get on the A7C II. Yet, for multiple reasons in these next few locations, my phone was useless. So this is when sensor size matters, and the manual controls of the A7C II can allow you to capture moments that you couldn't get any other way. So before I show you some low light footage with the A7C II and my favorite location on all of Dubai for photos and for experimenting with your settings, I went to a Dolphinarium, which is as it sounds. So my son is obsessed with seals and dolphins, so I was able to play with the frame rates on the A7C II here. For video, I almost exclusively shoot in 4K 24 frames per second, XAVC-S in 422 10-bit at the base ISOs, and either S-Log3, and more on that, or S-Cinetone, which is 125 or 500, but I definitely will go up from that if I need. Whereas on my FX3 or ZV-1, I almost always stay in the base ISOs, so this is a big difference that I'm trying to get used to. And then I usually flip the dial to photo mode, and I have set in the menu both modes to be the same across photo and video because I can either hit the shutter to take a picture or press record in photo mode to get video. Where when video is toggled on, you can't snap a photo with the shutter button, so even though it's an easy switch to toggle, sometimes it takes longer than necessary. But on this day, I actually switched into the S&Q mode for some 4K 60. Now, I actually don't mind that this is cropped because my lenses were so limited that I will use crop mode anyways to extend my focal range. I actually have set the trash cam button as a custom for crop mode. So even though I was in the front row, the dolphins were still too far away. So I ended up getting better videos than I did photos on this day, but I still captured some moments that I'll remember for a lifetime. And my wife got lucky as she was randomly selected to get some dolphin love. And I'm not sure if my son was jealous here or who he was jealous of, but he had mixed emotions at best. Now similarly, I had nominal success with my nighttime shooting, but I brought my Sony ZV-1 with me, which just smokes the A7C II out of the water with a low light, but I do think I'm still learning how to use this camera at night, especially without super fast lenses. Well, I did have my f.95 lens with me, but the secret seems to be knowing how far to stray from the base ISOs, especially in video and especially in S-Log3, where you get a bit more wiggle room at this second base ISO of 3200. Now, on my last day, I went back to the mall, and I know this is a touristy spot as I have taken pics from here twice before in the past, but with only a phone. So this time I wanted to experiment with shutter speed. Now again, I wish I had some polarizer filters or even a tripod with me to really get some interesting shots. But as you can see with both photos and videos, when you lower the shutter speed below 1/50th, which I typically don't do because usually when I'm in daylight, I'm cranking up my shutter speed to regulate overexposure because I only had one variable neutral density filter attached to one of my lenses. Also a big mistake, but here I was doing the opposite where I was lowering my shutter speed and raising my aperture. So some shots were like f11 with a 0.6 shutter, and this is what made the water feature look especially interesting. So this was the one instance that I didn't need my phone as much, and one case where slower lenses were a net positive. Okay, so finally, here's what I did bring with me. Now, along with my A7C II and my ZV-1 and my DJI Mini 2 and my GoPro Hero 9 and a bunch of batteries and accessories, I tried to bring as many small, compact, but versatile lenses that I could, which there aren't a lot of. So I ended up bringing my 16-50 kit lens. Yes, that cheap APS-C one as my like stuff in the bag emergency lens because it's a pancake lens that I can vlog on or get a decent reach with. But I know you are losing megapixels and resolution and I get it, but it's basically like a lens cap that I can use. And I did the same thing with my ZV-1 where I brought my other kit lens, the full frame 28-60, and I can feel the tomatoes being tossed at me through the screen for bringing these two laughable lenses. And I agree, they are not great lenses, but they are small, lightweight, and versatile. And yet I knew I wanted something wide, so I also brought my Rokinon 18mm f2.8, which is the smallest ultra wide that I own, and it's sort of amazing for the price. And after I updated the A7C II and the lens, it has worked really well. But then I wanted something small and fast, so I packed my manual 7 Artisans 35mm f.95. Yes, another APS-C lens, but it's super small and fast, and I won't make any apologies on this one as I love it with my ZV-1. But I imagine most people in my situation might travel with multiple G Masters, maybe the 14 f1.8 for architecture, or a 12 to 24, and then maybe a 50mm f1.2 or 1.4 for portraits, and then maybe some massive zooms like the 35 to 150 or the 24 to 105, and only one camera or at most 2, and definitely not all the gear. And yes, that would have been ideal, but often it's about getting the best shot that you can with the gear that you have on you while not worrying so much about the specs, settings, or the shoulds of shooting. Because when I'm traveling, often size and speed, so being able to pick something up as quickly as you possibly can to catch a shot is key. And often my phone is enough. But if I would do it again, I'd bring just one camera, either my A7C II or the ZVE1, and 2 lenses at most and nothing else. However, I'm still not sure which camera that would be, nor what lenses. So what would you bring? Honestly, I am curious. So share the gear you bring along with you on your travels, or what you would bring if you were in my shoes. Either way, stay tuned as I have more POV and travel videos on the way with the multiple gear that I brought, among other videos, which will all culminate finally in a comparison video between the A7C II and the ZVE1. Now, until then, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on this little journey with me, and consider following along and subscribing as I continue on it. And sincerely, thanks again, and bye from Dubai.